I don't know who you are, but welcome to the Irish Photography Podcast. Sit back, relax, and listen about cameras, gear, settings, stories, and all things photography. Join Darren on Ireland's Best Photography Podcast. Let's go.
You're very welcome to episode 144 of the Irish Photography Podcast. My name is Darren, I'm your host this evening, and I'm joined by my good buddy, my good pal, Mr. Bernard Geraghty. How are you getting on, buddy?
I am fine, Bun. How are you?
I'm marvellous, boy, marvellous. Long time no speak. Well, long time no speak on the podcast anyway, but yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Good to be back. Nice to be on a podcast because I haven't had time to do mine because things are getting back to normal. So it's nice to, just be sitting down having a chat again.
Good stuff. And last time you were on, I think, was back in March. So fill us in. What have you been up to?
So back in March, I obviously would have said that I moved to Dingle. So I moved to Dingle until July. Back home in Dublin now, currently probably looking at maybe moving over to Connemara fairly soon for a few months as well. So I think it's kind of cool just maybe floating around, different places when the winter comes in, for some winter storms, winter light, potential snow around the mountains and stuff like that. So yeah, it looks, don't be surprised to see me settling down in Connemara at some stage very soon, maybe.
That would be class, man. I mean, Connemara is absolutely beautiful. I mean, okay, Dingle is stunning as well, but Connemara is incredible. The amount of diversity you have there to choose from in Connemara is incredible.
Yeah, and speaking of Connemara, that's where I am spending this week actually. So it's great to be back. It's just Connemara's unreal. Spent the last week here as well. Not last week, the week before, with a group from Switzerland. So they had their first time to see the sea in over 2 years. Because obviously they're landlocked. So they just had an amazing time. We got the most amazing conditions, light, mood, minimal. We got everything. Absolutely everything. And that was my first workshop, proper workshop back. So it was quite nerve-wracking, I have to say.
No doubt. I mean, look, you kind of feel out of practice of it, I suppose, in one way, but at the same point, you've got high expectations because you want it to be incredible. And I know that's something that we probably will discuss anyway ourselves because we will have a separate podcast, I think, to discuss that because it is, it's a big milestone after such a long period of time. I mean, your bread and butter is workshops. And you haven't been able to do that. So I'm delighted that you've been able to get back out. And what a spot, man. And what light you had as well on that workshop. I mean, following along with you on Instagram and stuff like that, it was just incredible to be able to see the conditions that you got.
Yeah, it was. And as you say, I think we best not delve too much into that because, I think we have a podcast in planning to talk about specifically that week and getting back to normality and stuff. But I suppose if I was to, listen, I'm happy to be back. It's been, a tough 18 months or whatever. But you know what? Like, I don't really regret any of it. It's been hard, but I've done things that I would not have got to do. I've taken shots, done videos of different things that I would not have got to do. And I also bought myself my dream vehicle since I was about 5 years old. So listen, I bought myself a lovely Land Rover Defender a few months ago. And listen, I've been absolutely dreaming about one of these since I was about 5 years of age. I was always interested in tractors and farming and stuff like that. But it was always the dream to have a Land Rover Defender, and one propped up that I just couldn't turn down a few months back. So at the moment, doing a lot of video with that, to do like kind of an adventure video maybe at the end of the year.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so that's been kind of cool having a different kind of project to work on too,
And not only did you just get a Defender, but you also got a Defender that you gave a name to, and you also set up its own Instagram page. So tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so I was like, listen, you know me, my Instagram is pretty much about my business.
Yes.
Plain and simple. But I thought I wanted to, because I bought this, it's an '09 Defender 110, and it was used as a work vehicle, and it was a bit rough around the edges, but I wanted to share the journey, not specifically to others. So there is a big Land Rover community on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, especially for Defenders. And I just wanted to create a little portfolio that is going to be online for life and for something for me to look back at
Hmm.
So from buying it to ripping out the old seats, reupholstering the new seats myself, ripping out the plywood in the back and replying it and stripping it back and insulating and all that kind of stuff. Only for then to have all that done and spend thousands doing all those bits, only for have the gearbox to go the day after I fit the new LED headlights. So luckily, the gearbox is under warranty from the guy that I bought it off. So I literally just got it back last week, and yeah, it's kind of hell for leather now, going getting new things done. And as I say, like the last week spent it around the Wicklow Mountains and some of the Quilcha Forest and stuff, driving through rivers, and it's been just class. Like, so the page the name I gave the Defender is Fia, and Fia is Irish for wild. So I thought it was fairly fitting given the kind of things that
Brilliant.
I like to do. So yeah, the page is Fia underscore the underscore Defender. So or you could just find it through my own page at PG Landscape Tours.
Well, I have to say, she's a beautiful bus, and yeah, you've kind of really put your heart and soul into it during the whole non being able to get out in the workshops, because it's a kind of a passion project for you, as you say. I mean, I know we spoke offline and how much you really wanted to have one for a long, long time, and for you to finally get one, get stuck in, get ripping it out, getting it replenished, getting it up refreshed, and then, as you say, to have that issue, but now it's back, and I think it's going to be a phenomenal trip and a phenomenal journey, I suppose, really, of discovery, because as you say, going around Quilcha Forest and driving through streams, I mean, you're not going to
Yeah,
be doing that in the Gulf. Do you know what I mean? So that's
no,
not going to happen.
and this is the thing as well. Like, be like if I do make that move to Connemara, like there's so much like of these little, like, not even roads, like not even boreens, to explore.
Paths.
Plus, it's it kind of gives me this, like, a bit of encouragement to maybe knock on a farmer's door and say, listen, would you mind if I went across there? Blah blah blah. Some will say yes, some will say no. But that's the beauty about it. So it just helps you get in these different positions. Whether it will be good for photography or not, I don't know. But it's just, again, another way of just adventuring, I suppose.
Well, there's the old phrase is that a dumb priest never got a parish. So all you have to do is ask, you
Exactly,
know.
exactly.
So you're either going to say yes or going to say no. And, you have a 50-50 chance right from the outset. But I'd say you'll find that more and more people will kind of say, ah, sure, yeah, look, no worries, work away. Just be careful around that gate. And that's it.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of places in Donegal as well I have lined up with permission from some farmers. So really looking forward to doing something very soon. And as I say, hoping having a nice little video come out towards the end of the year.
And one other thing, actually, speaking of videos, did you release your Dingle video before or after? It was after, I think, wasn't it? You were last on. So you've released an incredible video of the Wild Atlantic. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so fitting enough, it's called, Wild Dingle. And listen, this just came out of nowhere. This wasn't a project or anything, but when I was down in Dingle, I just, had these, seriously amazing wild Atlantic storms coming in, all around the coast and stuff like that. And given we were in lockdown and stuff, had pretty much all to myself, which was great, but not great. Darren, you know me, I like being
Hmm.
with people all the time.
Yeah.
You don't do what I do unless you're a people person, in my
Hmm.
opinion.
Yeah.
And I do love the crack as part of it. Not just getting amazing conditions. I love to share that experience with people. And this was an incredible kind of once in 20-year event. So much so that they were surfing in Ventry Beach, like, which is unheard of, because it's
Mm-hmm.
so protected and stuff. So we were getting these 50, 60-foot monsters, waves breaking off the rocks at the bottom of Schley Head, only to bounce up onto the roads, which is a good probably 50, 60 meters up.
Yeah.
So it was just incredible. And the strange thing about it is the reason it was such an event was because we had these huge monsters of waves, which you could see in the video, which is on my YouTube or Instagram or whatever on the IGTV. But what allowed me to video them on a 2 to 600 lens, a lot at 600 mil, was the fact that there was zero breeze or zero wind, which was absolutely crazy. So to be able to video such an event and put Cal, my videographer, Cal Debris, to be able to put such a wonderful video together from all this footage it was just unreal and so unexpected, because you don't expect to go out and shoot these storms and shoot video as well. So it
Hmm.
was it was incredible and something that I'll never forget.
Well, hats off to both of you, I think, in relation to number one, you filming it, but number two, as you say, Cal did a phenomenal job of putting it together, and even the soundtrack. and the Oscuelga as well, which is the narration on it too, was incredible. So if anybody hasn't seen that, look, I'll put a link into that into the show notes so people can go see that. But it's a phenomenal piece of work, and yeah, hats off. I mean, I suppose, the amount of work that you put in, but even from a video point of view, I think that was a kind of another level up again. And I mean, I got down at one point, that was after your video, I think, had gone out, but another
Yeah.
storm, and I met up with you. And it's just incredible the conditions that you can get, particularly down there on the Dingle Peninsula. And I know from my own point of view, I love the sea, I love Dingle, but any sign of a storm like that, man, and that's it. I'm done. I'm there,
Yeah.
because the breaking waves. What I love about it, and you can even see it in your video, like they're bombs of waves that are coming in.
Yeah,
They're
they're bombs. Yeah.
crashing against us, and they're just the shapes that the waves create are incredible, and every single one of
Yeah.
them unique. And you did a phenomenal job of
Like
filming it, man. It's very, very good.
in one day I filled, I don't know whether this is like embarrassing or not. So speaking to Rachel Talibart, which I speak to quite a bit, she tells me it's perfectly normal, but in one day I filled 4 64 gig SD cards. So it was pretty crazy. But again, as I say, such an experience, and lucky to come away with actually a 2 terabyte hard drive full of just Dingle Storm images, which was amazing. And they're going to be images that I can go back over and over again as my taste and my style, in terms of how I look at an image changes, which it does change over time. I'm sure in, the months and years to come, I'll find something that will stick out then that doesn't stick out now.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So look, yeah, man, well done on that. Like I say, I'll put a link onto it as well into the show notes. And yeah, I'm looking forward now to see what you get from Connemara. So I mean, it was good catching up with you, but let's get straight to the point.
Yeah.
You're here because, as you know, and as our listeners know, we had a regular feature, which was the Shunday Showcase on the podcast. It's a regular feature every single week on the Facebook group, and it's incredible to see every single Sunday at 7 o'clock, the amount of people that will post up the images that they've edited, or as you say, sorry, a shot, or as you say, edited, re-edited from old photographs. And what we do with this segment, and this is the episode to kind of showcase the images within the Sunday Showcase. So the format is that you are going to pick 3 images. I'm going to pick 3 images from the Sunday, which was the 12th of September. And maybe, just maybe, we might get another match, because when I did this with Dermot, not once did we get a match, and then you and I did it, and we got 1 match. So
I
maybe this
definitely
evening we think we get a match. I think.
I have a feeling. So obviously, listen, I don't know what you're going to pick. You don't know what I'm going to pick, but I definitely believe we'll get a match tonight.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. All
So
right. So look,
anybody who's single and looking to create a Tinder account, talk to me and Darren. We'll get you a match.
we'll get you a match. And in case anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, we have a Facebook group, which is the Irish Photography Podcast. If you're not joined it already, just jump on Facebook, type in the Irish Photography Podcast, and click on that join. You'll be asked a question just to name a host. You can join the group. You can name myself. You can name Bernard, or any one of the guests that we've had on the previous 143 episodes of the podcast. Then you're in. And on the Sundays, then, like I say, at 7 o'clock, sharing an image. And yeah, everybody enjoys seeing everybody else's image. The interactions are great, so it's good to see the progression of people is coming along. And I do think, yeah, that we're going to end up getting a match anyway this evening. So I'll be the gentleman, since you're the guest somewhat.
Yeah.
You can go first.
Right. So there might even be, like the last time we did this, there was an honorable mention as well. But
Yes.
I'm going to kick it off, and I'm going to kick it off with an image from Breed O'Neill. And
Okay.
this was a foggy morning at a beautiful castle in County Meath. And myself and Breed, I was actually with Breed that morning. I remember the night before contacting her saying, listen, Breed, we live quite close to each other. So I was like, there's really good potential. I have a new spot. I've been scouting it out for a few weeks. And I think, this castle on a hill essentially with the right conditions could be insane. And I'd paid about 10 visits to this place, and I've had the good, the bad, the ugly, and stuff like that, but I felt there was just a little bit more to come from this spot. And yeah, this morning we got there well in time, and just in around sunrise. There was no color, no nothing, but what we did have was, as we were on a bit of a hill across the River Boyne, which was obviously in the valley, the Boyne Valley, and the mist all just sitting kind of at the level of the river, or just above, or just above, sorry, and just jutting out above the fog was this absolutely amazing castle surrounded by all these trees. And it's just stunning. So Breed's shot is amazing. But listen, probably a bit biased for picking it because I was there, but seeing these conditions develop and knowing what we could get from this, and knowing obviously what Breed has got from it, because I'm looking at the shot here now. It was just an unforgettable experience, an unforgettable morning, and a stunning shot from Breed. So as I say, nice foggy morning around a beautiful castle in the Boyne Valley.
Well, we didn't get a match, but we very nearly did, because that was one image that jumped out as well to me. The conditions, as you say, were just perfect. But I actually really like what Breed has done on the editing. It's a very, very, very delicate image. And the way it's been framed there, as you say, you can see that fog is there, but also the sky is non-existent as well.
Yeah.
And I love that, because all you're seeing effectively is this center subject, the star of the show, this beautiful castle. And as you say, surrounded in by these trees. It's a beautiful, beautiful shot.
And
it nearly got my vote.
The thing is, as well, you see, so to talk about the experience of being there, and like I was there, I had the drone that morning as well, and like it was so changeable. Like 1 minute you couldn't see the castle, next it popped out above the fog, and then next we were getting light. So when the sun got high enough, I remember sending up the drone and just sending it along the castle, and the fog everywhere, and just the light from the rising sun in the distance was just unbelievable. So she did a great job. She got a few lovely shots that morning. This is just one of them. So yeah, I felt definitely, given what I felt while shooting that morning, I definitely felt I had to give it a mention.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a worthy pick, but we didn't match anyway. But a brilliant shot, Breed. Thanks very much for sharing it in the group, and I suppose also for Breed as well. I mean, every week we'll get to the second half of the show on on Instagram, but I love seeing Breed's work as well on Instagram every single week when I do the Friday feature on Instagram as well. So no, fantastic choice. Well done.
So what are you going with?
So my first one actually is a photograph very similar in the concept. It's a low-lying fog. It's sitting in a valley, and the photographer has taken the image from up on a hill, and it's by Jim Rocks, and it's an absolutely beautiful photograph. I love it just purely from the color that's there. It's right in the morning. I think it's in Beara in West Cork, and you've got some incredible colors on. That's actually, it's in Cahapass, yeah, in West Cork. You've got some incredible colors in the trees and the foliage, but then you've got this little mist that's kind of swimming in around that. It looks like a river, but it's a phenomenal shot for him to be able to get up there that early to get that shot. And I think the way he's taken the photograph as well has been phenomenal. I love it. The moment I spotted it, I went, wow, look at that.
Yeah, it's stunning, really is. And I think just the portrait, version works well, because you have this, beautiful greenery in the front, led by the fog, which leads you into the beautiful peaks in the background. Not going with too much sky, which I think really works with the image. Essentially, almost a rule of thirds image, top third sky, mid third kind of the mountain, the bottom third then the mist. So actually just seen it as you mentioned it there. So I had actually skipped it. I always find looking at Facebook, the comments on Facebook on a laptop is, it's easy to miss, but I did miss that, but it's a beautiful image.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal shot. And again, well done, Jim, for getting it. And thanks for sharing it in the group. I take it so it's because you didn't see it, we didn't match. So we're at 0 for 0 after two picks. But two phenomenal good shots anyway. Yeah. So,
two
right.
very good shots.
Back to you.
Right. I'm going with a very simple image here, but very, very effective. Just a beautiful image with lovely lines, triangles, and a lighthouse. And it's from Rodney Cleary.
Okay.
Gallyhead Lighthouse, which, it's beautiful light. I'm imagining from obviously a sunrise or a sunset. I'm going to say sunset, but not 100% sure. And you've got the lovely, cliffs just, jutting out there to the left-hand side. And then just you have this lovely little sailing boat in the distance with the sail up. And it just really, really adds that to that little bit of empty space in the image, and just fills the image nicely. The light is beautiful. The edit is really, really nice. It's so soft, subtle, doesn't need a lot of work. I think the crop works well. It looks like a little bit of a 16:9 crop, maybe a little bit more, but I think that was very important, was to keep it that way. Sometimes we can kind of stick with the 3:2 crop and only realize after that, oh, should have cropped that. But this definitely works at the 16:9.
We don't have a match in here. Okay, first and foremost, I didn't pick that
Oh,
image, but I actually was close to picking that image. And I think, Gallyhead is beautiful. That image, you're spot on. It is sunset because the light is coming on the right hand side and that's pointing directly south. But yeah, it brings you right through to the image. But
yeah,
exactly as you said it, you've got that sailboat on the left hand side, which takes up that empty space. And I just think everything about the image comes together perfectly. Now, the light, of course, is what makes it, but his composition as well, I think, is really, really nice as well. So no, that is one I think that Rodney has done a phenomenal job on. And it's a spot actually that I'd like to kind of go back and explore around more. You can rent out Galley Lighthouse, yeah?
yeah, I know, and I've actually been there before. Not really got the conditions that I wanted, or I've only been there twice. But listen, you know yourself, you can go to a place 20 or 30 times and not get the light that you want. So, I've stood where he's standing, but I just think it's just nailed down there with a simple composition, beautiful tones in the light, and as I say, and I always talk about, I do a lot of presentations, and I always talk about small details make the biggest impact. And here, that
Hmm.
boat, literally, very small detail makes a huge impact. And you know what? He done it really nice here, because the sail of the boat doesn't break the horizon.
Yeah,
So there's a bit of a gap between that and the horizon, which is nice. If it had been kind of a bit above, it would have put you off a little bit. Unless he was down the very bottom where it would have stuck out completely from the horizon. So, it's framed nicely by the sea, and it's just such a small. Probably takes up 1% less. It probably takes up a 0.5% of the
yeah.
total image, or even less again. But it just makes that impact.
Yeah, beautiful shot. Great choice as well. So yeah, I think again, you've had two, I've had one. We haven't had a match yet, so maybe this one now we'll get a match, because if I pick this one and you've picked it last, then we have a match. If not, we'll see. We still have one more choice. So my image is a place that you've gone to quite a lot. It's a place I've
Yeah,
only ever visited once.
I know where this is.
Um, and where I went, the time I went there, it pissed rain, and I still managed to take some photographs. But I'd love to get it in the morning, and I'd also love to get it with the light that the photographer, which is Hayden Hamerton, has taken in Glendalough at
Stunning,
sunrise.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Beautiful. I mean, I just think everything about it is great for me. I mean, yeah, number one, okay, to be there. Number two, the conditions are lovely, but the light with the rainbow, and you get the full circle reflection of the rainbow in the water. You see the partly of the double rainbow on the right hand side in relation to it, but that's an image which I think has been handled so well. The only thing I would say, if I was to make any small bit of critique in it, is on the left hand side you don't have a full reflection because you're right next to the shore. If you'd probably taken maybe two or three steps to the right, you probably would have had a full circle without interruption in relation to it. But notwithstanding that, I think it's a beautiful shot. It jumps off the screen at me, and when I saw it posted yesterday evening, I went, "Yeah, that's definitely one I'm going to pick," because I love the way a rainbow will contain the light within it, and you can
Yeah,
see that exact example. But the subtleties within the image as well, because in the far end of the lake, you also have a low-lying mist, and it's not a huge amount; it's only two small patches of it. But it's just brings your eye right in, and then you find and discover this at the very, very end of it. Like I say, it's not a spot that I photographed much, only once, but I know you've been there quite a lot, and yeah, that's the second shot for me. There's a lot that I really, really like about it, and for me, it just jumped off the screen, like I said.
yeah. Listen, Glendalough is a stunning place. In the summer, if you're ever there, and it's going to be calm. You make sure you bring a midgie net, because you will
Oh
not
yeah,
last till sunrise. I can guarantee you that. But no, listen, he's made a stunning image out of that. A great. I would imagine it's sunrise, because the sun obviously rises behind. And I've seen this
yeah.
in all conditions. I even shot a fog bow there before. But to be honest, it doesn't compare to beautiful rainbow images. I love rainbows, and very jealous when I seen this pop up. I don't mind the kind of foreground there, like it's a bit of a clutter in the foreground, which I really don't mind. I kind of like the way it just breaks up everything a little bit. So to me, not really an issue of where he's standing. But I will say I picked this image as well, so we do have a match.
Oh, ding,
But
ding, 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 ding,
I
ding.
will go on and say that. Now, I did pick it because it's very unique. I've not seen a rainbow here before, and definitely not a rainbow reflection. Now, it's obviously a panorama. Now, the only thing I would say, and this is just for the benefit of Hayden, is that it is a panorama. Just if you go into the lake at the very end, towards the mist, you can see a few artifacts from how
Yeah,
that hasn't stitched
yeah.
properly. I only actually noticed this now because I'm looking at it on the laptop. I didn't notice it on the phone.
Hmm.
But listen, I'm not gonna diss it for that because it's such a unique shot. But if I was Hayden, I would literally just go back. Sorry, excuse me, go back, try and maybe just restitch it. I'd love to know kind of how he did stitch it in the first place, and just see if you can get that straight line okay. And what I would do then is print it out and put it on the wall. That's exactly what I would do.
Yeah, I agree. It's a fantastic shot, and I'm delighted. No, we actually got a match. So
I
yeah,
knew,
we got.
I knew we would get this. I knew we would get this.
Yeah, but this one jumps off the screen to me. So for me, that was a no brainer. So okay, so what are we at now?
So you
One
have one
one
more.
match. Okay, so yeah, you've got to take your last choice. So we could get a match if that's my last choice as well. So we might break our record and get 2 matches.
No, I've done my three.
Have you done your 3?
I've done my three. Yep. Breed, Rodney, and Hayden. I picked Hayden as well.
Ah, sure. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you have
Okay.
one
Okay.
more. So we've one match. It's better than no matches.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we have one more. Okay. Right. So the last photograph that I've picked is something again that I'm really, really enjoy taking photographs of, and I think this one here has been treated so well on the editing, but also I think the conditions were just perfectly set up for the type of exposure. So it's a waterfall, and it's an image by Cullum McMullen, and I just love the flow of water. You know that anyway already as it is, but I think with this image, you've got this waterfall that's coming down on the right hand side. It's one single waterfall, but it hits a rock and it breaks into multiple waterfalls, and then you see the little subtleties of the detail of the left hand side. It's not as pronounced as in the main one on the right hand side, so you get a bit of light as well on the right hand side, and then on the left hand side of that, when you look closely, you can see the green mosses that are coming off the rock. You know that it's a damp, damp, damp location, and that was a
Yeah.
shot that I looked at. I went, you know what, geez, I want to find where that is because that looks like a place I'd like to shoot, and I think it's a fantastic shot, and it's what gets my third choice.
Yeah, it's a beautiful image and it's a lovely edit. It's a very simple edit. The water's just, nicely exposed. I think some people could look at this depending on their experience of, shooting landscape photography, and people, you might have people thinking this could be, 5 foot, 10 foot, 20 foot high. But I would imagine this is only a few inches. I could be wrong. But I would imagine it's quite small. And yes, like obviously a damp place, I would think you wouldn't want to be climbing this anyway. You can see by the greenery there, just super, super slippy. But it's a beautiful shot, and I think well worthy of a pick. If I was to say something about Colin, is that I was going to give him a little honorable mention for his Astro shot.
Okay.
So like, listen, you know me, I do tend to go above the tree, but I would just give it a
You
little
break the
honorable
rules.
mention, an honorable mention purely for the fact that if there's anything I despise, it's light painting. Like I despise it so badly. I just hate it, right? And that's just my opinion. But he seems to have a little now. There could be a light coming from the side here from the actual location, but it's a beautiful little dolmen with the Milky Way, and it's just this subtle light on the grass is lighting it up nicely, and it's done very, very well. If there's one thing I hate is light painting. If there's one thing I really appreciate is light painting done well. And
Mm.
there's no real mad, like overexposed parts. It's all very balanced. And yeah, I'm just going to give that a little honorable mention.
No, and I think justified as well. I mean, the one thing I spotted that image as well. I didn't pick it obviously, but I spotted it. But the reason I spotted it actually was if you look at where it's actually located, there's a town underneath it. So there's a lot of light pollution coming up from there. But with the Milky Way being so high above it as well, it just works. And the two of
Yeah.
them work very, very well together. So when I first saw it, I thought it was Poola Ganoom, or I can never pronounce it, the one in County Clare in the Burren, the
Pool na Braun or something, is it?
Pool na Braun, that's the one, yeah. But I quickly went, no, that's not it. But then at the same point, I went, but what is it? And I was intrigued to
Yeah.
figure it out more. So you have a lot that's going on in that image, and I think, yeah, you're right. I mean, well done, Colm. You get 2 mentions in this week's show. Thanks again, for sharing the image. Bernard does like to bend the rules a bit, but it's okay. I think it's well deserved and well justified. So yeah, Bernard, we got a match.
Again.
Yes. Ding, ding, ding. Well done. I think, some beautiful shots that we both picked there. But, as always, really, it's very hard just to pick 3 because there's such fantastic talent that's being shared every single week. And again, thanks again to everybody who is sharing the images on the Sunday, or so it's known as the Shunday showcase. It's a pleasure to look at your images every week. And yeah, please continue to do it as each of the weeks will go on. And we'll look to try and do another one of these again now before the end of the year. So, Bernard, thanks for that for the first part of the show. I'm going to take a very quick break, and we'll be right back then with our very popular Insta Spotlight. So we'll be right back after this. If you're enjoying this episode of the Irish Photography Podcast, why not jump back and listen to the back catalogue we have of episodes, where you'll get some great insights from fantastic guests, gear reviews, lots of hints and tips, and above all else, keeping you company while you drive or relax. Thanks very much for listening. Please consider subscribing, leaving a review wherever you're listening to this podcast. And you're very welcome back to the Irish Photography Podcast. So, Bernard, like I alluded to there before the break, we'll be talking next in relation to our Insta Spotlight. And for anybody who doesn't know what that is again, it's part of this the podcast show that we do. I am always amazed every single week with the quality of the images, but the amount of people that are tagging the Irish Photography Podcast, which is hashtag the Irish Photography Podcast, on their images on Instagram. It blows me away every week because I have to go through them and try and pick out images that I want to feature in the stories. And every week it gets harder and harder and harder because I want to feature every image because they're all bangers. But there's one particular person's image every single week that are always there and always impress me. And it's almost to a stage right now that I know that it's his image before I even realize that it's his image. And it's by Dermot Garland. He's based in Dublin, and he's a phenomenal drone photographer, but also a standard ground photographer as well. I mean, I know his work originally from his drone work, but even looking here at his images as well from the land is absolutely incredible. So congratulations, Dermot, you're our Insta Spotlight for this episode. And yeah, maybe Bernard, I'll pass it over to you to see what your thoughts are in relation to Dermot's work, and then I'll go through some images, I suppose, and we'll discuss those.
So yeah, Dermot actually attended one of my Dingle workshops there a few months ago. So it was my first time to meet Dermot, and he's a very sound guy, and really actually, took on board a lot of the stuff that I had said, and so that was obviously it was great to meet him, and that he said he kind of learned a lot was brilliant as well, obviously, because that's what we're in it for. But yeah, listen, I'm just looking through some of the stuff here. Like Dermot has a unique style. He would tell you that himself. But there's some images there, that you see shot over and over again. But there's some beautiful perspectives. And listen, some of the drone stuff he has, you can obviously get unique perspectives from drones. Especially some of the ones he has a Poolbeg lighthouse and stuff. So it's become, I suppose, like Poolbeg has always been iconic. But you have all the guys like Dermot, you have Muno Explorer, you have Raw Dublin, which have made these iconic, not just in, from a landmark point of view, but also a photography point of view. And there's so many different perspectives coming out now. So it's almost like a little mini competition for these boys to get new perspectives. And you think, it's done. And next thing someone comes out with one. So it's a nice little challenge that you like. I kind of see. It's obviously not a challenge, but I see it as a challenge almost. Like these, okay, what can they come up with next? And they always seem to come up with something. That's the testament to them, I suppose.
And you know what, man? I have actually never photographed the Poolbeg chimneys. Now, mind you, I'm not from Dublin, so it would be a big thing for me if I was going to Dublin to photograph those specifically. But from looking at all these images, as you said, the lads have been taking, I often wonder, because they were supposed to knock down those chimneys, weren't they?
I think if they were to knock down these chimneys, there'd be about 1,000 photographers who would storm the Dublin County Council buildings now
Yeah,
and cause
yeah.
absolute havoc. And but like, I don't think they were supposed to. There was talk of it, but I really don't think they could ever get away with it. They're just too iconic at this moment, so I really don't ever see that happening.
I agree with you. And look, I mean, you said it there a moment ago about the different types of shots that he gets around those chimneys, but even around the whole area in, the convention center, some phenomenal photographs there. I mean, the reflections are great, but you hinted on something a second ago is in relation to his style, because he has quite a unique style in the editing point of view. And there's a couple of images that he's taken as well around the convention center. The colors are his colors, it's kind of a rust orange color, but it works really, 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 really well. And also, what I see on the orange color as well, there's an image there. I'll tell you if you look at his feed, right? So if you go down 1, 9, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 lines down, it's a beach, and it's Killiney, and it's a drone shot. And you would not
Yeah,
know that you are in Killiney when you're looking at
yeah.
that.
It is a very unique edit, the composition's spot on. Like, it has this rusty sand, with this,
Yeah.
the kind of dull turquoise watered in, and you have the wave going from the top right down to the bottom, or top left to the bottom right, and it just works. And obviously the long shadow. So the sun was obviously low enough in the sky, be it sunrise or sunset, and obviously the lower the sun, the longer the shadow. So it works. It's it's very it's a really nice image. It's really nice. The colors separation is just beautiful.
Beautiful. And you wouldn't know that was Killiney unless you read the
No,
caption,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
100%.
And I think as well, we mentioned in relation to the style, like if you continue to scroll down here, you'll see an image of the convention center. So, you've got the yellow lights that are on the convention center, but again, the reflection on that is that, again, I suppose the style of the kind of the rusty orange color, which straight away I will know. And that's what I love about it. I think it's just, his work, it jumps out every single week. I go, there you go. There's another banger. There you go. There's another banger. And it seems to just bang out the bangers every single week.
Yeah, no,
Um,
he has.
and
He's got some beautiful shots. I'm looking at a nice one there from Boland's Mill, actually. And I can remember actually when they were building the new apartments or whatever it is that they're building at Boland's Mill, and it's a beautiful reflection shot with the bridge at Grand Canal Dock, and again, it's just his colors, So and the thing is as well, when you people have these unique edits, not everyone is a fan of these, but the way I look at it is that the main thing is the photographer is the fan of it, that specific
yeah,
photographer. So if you can kind of create yourself a unique style, regardless of whether someone likes it or not, I think that's kind of cool to be able to create your unique style and know, oh, that is a Dermot image, or that is a Darren image, or that is a whatever image. So if you scroll down to the very end of Dermot's feed, you can see he has these kind of rusty colors, but they're more minimal. And in my opinion, I don't think they work as well. But at the end of the day, that's okay, because I'm sure Dermot would think the same. Because at the end of the day, the newer the photos, the more you're kind of you're learning. So if he has photos that are up from a couple of years ago, I'm sure he would say too that the more time goes on, the more he's improved, and that's the same with us all. So you can see how his work has transitioned to a different, completely different style, and a more consistent style. And as you say, it's nice having your own kind of style, and people knowing you for specific images.
absolutely. His
You
own
know.
palette of colors, I suppose, to choose from. And, the final thing I like to say on that is, I alluded to at the beginning from a drone point of view. Like, he's got some phenomenal, what's it called, IGTVs on Instagram. So video, and he's got some videos of the pool bag. He's got some Samuel Beckett Bridge,
Oh, the
and it's just
the
so
reels, the reels.
reels, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's so well put together. Again, it's drone footage, but it's seeing things that people go by all the time, but from a totally different vantage point. And if you haven't seen any of his work or anything like that, it's Dermot Garland. I'll put a link again in the show notes, and I'll share it on the post and stuff like that. But not only have a look at the images, but go look at the reels, because the video work, I think, particularly with the drone, is absolutely beautiful. It makes me want to go there. It makes me want to go and shoot it. And isn't that a win-win?
Yeah, 100%. He's got a lovely shot there just before we do finish up. He's got a beautiful shot of the Poolbeg Towers, and he's kind of lined the sun up just on the edge of the left side tower. To obviously that would help not have so much highlights. And then you can just see the mist and the light on the mist. It's just it's stunning. Like, I would never think of just going in and shooting Poolbeg, but I do enjoy watching the lads, create unique perspectives and unique shots. With them, not just with the drones, but also with their cameras when the weather allows.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible work. So yeah, Dermot, a worthy winner, I think, there for the Insta Spotlight for this September edition of the podcast. And yeah, thanks a million, man, for sharing your work with us every single week. I think there isn't a week gone by actually that I haven't liked an image that he's put up or even shared it on the Friday feature on the Instagram page as well for the Irish Photography Podcast. So yeah, Bernard, listen, man, thanks very, very much for taking the time out to come out with me. I really do appreciate it. I know you're busy. I know you're obviously, moving on up to Connemara. Hopefully we get better signal anyway, because, your signal is quite cat there at the moment. But it's been a pleasure to have you on. Yeah, it's been a pleasure to have you on. And yeah, I'll get you back on again now shortly when we have that other podcast that we alluded to earlier on. And I'm looking forward to your own podcast as well coming out. I mean, I recorded one recently there with Adrian from Nightlight Films, and I gave people, I suppose, the link to go back to listen to your podcast that you did with him as well. Your own podcast is phenomenal, man. I enjoy listening to all of them, and I hope when you get the time again now that it will continue to become a staple part of what you produce, and you go from strength to strength with it, man.
Cheers, man. I appreciate that. Hopefully, get a bit of free time in the next few weeks, and because I do have a few lined up, but it's just hard at the moment. We're trying to get back to normal and stuff like that. So once we get back to normal, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to bang out a few consistent ones. But until then, I just have to concentrate on what pays the bills at the moment.
That's what it's about, boy. That's what it's about. All right, listen, Bernard, thanks a million, man, from me in Cork to you in the beautiful Connemara. Until I see you again the next time, Slán go fóill.
Cheers, bye.
Hey guys, if you dig what you're hearing, why don't you jump over to iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating and don't forget to share with your friends. With all that done, we'll see you next week. And remember, keep shooting.